So I'm Keith Morey. I own SGS Research Physician Standard. It's a corporation that owns a number of different things. We're here to talk about thyroid. And what do I know about thyroid? Well, my lovely wife next to me had chronic fatigue for 15 years, been to 12 different doctors. Wasn't really their fault. What happened is that they did all the stuff that they needed to do, probably the best that they knew at the time. The fact of the matter is, if you don't address the thyroid and get your temperature up, in most cases, you get negative results almost on any kind of problem that most of the world has. When you drop below 98.4, you start to deactivate, meaning they operate slower, the thyroid to operate properly, the enzymes. So enzymes, as you well know, if you're a practitioner, and most of you are practitioners, that temperature is crucial to activate enzymes properly, to operate, to digest your food, make chemicals in your brain and body properly, to eliminate waste material properly, to basically do all the chemical reactions in your brain that are some cases in tenths of a degree. So people don't even realize what's wrong with them. They go along, they don't have any energy. They check their thyroid by doing blood tests, and the T3, T4, and TSH looks fine. But most of the time when they do it, the TSH is higher than normal. TSH is what stimulates T4 and T7, T4 to more T3, which basically raises your temperature. But the problem is when you have a reverse T3, which is instead of being a left-handed molecule, which is accepted by 95% of all the chemicals in your brain, all your enzymes, it's the thyroid's not working because it's too low. So when you're 98.4, you're fine, pretty much. It works a little better when you're 98.6, but marginally. When you get to 97.8, you start to deactivate, meaning they operate slower, to a lot of different, lots and a huge percentage of your enzymes are operating slower. They never stop working. They just don't work fast enough to do what the body needs to do at the time for the area they're activating. So you can digest your food, make chemicals in your brain and body properly, eliminate waste properly, and make you have energy in your body. So, you okay, darling? My lovely wife, I'm going to tell you her story real quick. When I met her 18 years ago, she had chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and Epstein-Barr. She was so severe. She's number 16 of 16 siblings, and of 15 she was number 15 of 15 siblings. When I heard that she'd been to 12 doctors and couldn't get better, is because they never look at temperature. They don't know the correlation typically. And even if they know the outcome of that, they don't know how to fix it. They're lost. They don't even know the importance of the thyroid being at a reasonable temperature above, I'd like to say 97.2 is like an ideal temperature because you don't overcook the meat. See, a lot of people think that, you know, when you cook a turkey and you do it at 150 degrees and it may take 6 hours, right? Then it's tender, more this, that, or the other. But it's in a human body, 98.6, all the enzymes are operating properly, correctly to digest your food, make chemicals in your brain and body, and to eliminate waste material. But when you drop below that, and the 97 point is the breaking point in my decision making from my experience, where you have to do something to get the thyroid up in temperature to get better. So I did that. I did 18 days, got a temperature from 96.8 to 98.4. And then I detoxed her because now she could detox. Um, so in another 11 days, or actually a total of 29 days in the whole process between both, she was 100%. And she, just like she is today, which is 100%. She's a workaholic, which I got to find a drug to slow that down because she never stops now. So anyway, so now that you know this, I don't know, let's see here. 1 in 8 women in their lifetime have thyroid problems. 1 in 5.9% of the population of men have thyroid problems. Why is women more prone to it than men? Because the essence of the problem, what causes the thyroid to go off kilter, is women are more stressed than men in general. They're use both sides of their brain, which is unbelievable. I wish I could work both sides of my brain properly. But they're more men are more analytical typically, not necessarily all the time. And women are abstract thinkers. That's why women, when they talk, they could have women, 5 people there, and they're all talking to each other and they're understanding each conversation at the same time. It's amazing what they can do. But at the same time, it produces stress. Okay. And women are stressed for numerous reasons. Hormone imbalances because of cycles. They have children, meaning they have a lot of stress with children from all the way up until the dying day of their kids or vice versa. They have all this stress, physical stress, cycles, hormone imbalances because of cycles. And the thyroid is a hormone fiend. It takes a ton of thyroid chemicals from DHA, pregnenolone to all these other chemicals, hundreds of them, and they can't function 100% all the time. And with the fact that they're working now where they didn't work when in the old days, and the work of the whole society is under stress, um, everything's gone topsy-turvy in regards to both men and women, but men have more side effects from that because of a lack of hormones. So let's go into the cause again. We already talked about mental stress, but there's no difference between mental stress and physical stress. So we have like COVID and we have all these pathogens and new viruses and bacteria and everything, and their immune system is compromised because of a thyroid problem caused from stress. Okay, so look at it this way. The adrenals produce all the hormones. In other words, you have DHA, pregnenolone's the master hormone to all hormones, and it goes into making DHEA, but it's farther down the chain. So it goes a lot of women's hormones. That's why they call pregnenolone the woman's hormone. And then it goes into DHA, which goes down to testosterone and everything else in a man. So hormones regulate things, heart function, liver function, moodiness, sex drive, everything is hormone based, instructing the body how to function properly and how to deal with health issues and immune function and everything. So you can see they've been double whammied: physical stress, having babies, dealing with babies, dealing with society, working now. They don't make as much money, which sadly is true, which I think is not right. And they functionally have a disability, money wise and everything else. And men in general are kind of hardcore. They don't want to be, but they turn out being, right? Because they have more testosterone, which makes them more on edge typically, and causes relationship to go away. And a lot of men unjustifiably leave their mate, and now they're stuck and they don't have as much money as they had when both were together. And to do it on your own is tough, and stress goes through the roof. Okay. So anyway, you can see if it's stress induced, both physical and mental, it's difficult for the thyroid, which is in my viewpoint, a hormone fiend. It has to have a lot of hormones to regulate the temperature and other things that it does, right? And in turn, because of stress, and the adrenals are producing a lot of chemicals to have stress, help stress, but they're looking at the thyroid. Well, we'll get to it. Well, we'll give it more later, but later never comes. And all the hormones are dealing with the physical and mental stress of our society, and they don't give enough to the thyroid, and it falls apart. It doesn't work properly. So I'm going to give you an analogy, and is that, let's say it's a caveman. This world's kind of started. Caveman falls off a cliff, breaks his leg. Now, he can't run away from an animal. He can't hunt for food because he can't chase them down or trap them. And the leg is hurting like hell. So he goes into a cave, hides, and what happens is, where the lineage of caveman that survived and another lineage of cavemen fell off, in a fight or flight mode, it basically makes growth hormone higher in the body than before. So when you're 20, you're fine. 25, you're fine. By 35, it drops off pretty dramatically to be so much so that when you're 85, you're producing 85% of what you did at 20, but it drops off at 35 to pretty much what you are at 85. It's a dramatic drop right in those areas. Because my theory is that the body wants to die to adjust for climate change, for supply of food, so many things. And to be able to survive that, it needs to have more replication of different, more children, and more children in a period of time, let's say every 35 or 45 years, so that it can adjust to those changes that occur. So that's my theory. Doesn't mean it's true, but it makes sense. And so, in sense that the body is trying to adjust to things. So anyway, so when the caveman falls off there, he's able to lower the body temperature to live on the fat of his belly or whatever in his body, so he can live on no food for a month or month and a half, 2 months. And he finally gets over that. The leg is healed up enough. He goes out and hunts. The stress goes away. The body turns back from a right-handed T3 back to a left-handed, that temperature raises, he can hunt, he can eat and survive. Where if you look at the other caveman, he never converted or turned the T3 from a left to a right. He burned up all his calories and didn't survive. That's my philosophy on it. So anyway, let's, okay, we could talk about Hashimoto's. Okay, so Hashimoto's, everybody has these allergies, right? And allergies, in my sense, to make it simple, it's when the digestive tract gets off kilter because of a virus, bacteria, fungus, or in our day and age, the main thing is antibiotics, which kills 2/3 of your digestive tract, which allows cracks in your 7 layers of probiotics that is a filtering system to not let pathogens into your bloodstream, which can proliferate in your body until the immune system stops it. But if it can find a home, like a cavity, gallbladder, sinus, lower colon, vaginal canal, ear canal, and it can multiply in there and put a barrier around it. That's why the kids get a lot of ear infections, because it's a very small canal. It's tiny enough that the infection can build a barrier around it fairly easy. And at that point, you get an ear infection faster than you can get a gallbladder infection, if that makes sense. So, what does the gallbladder do? Why is it so important? It's, to me, it's the hub of the body. So I'm going to say quickly, the gallbladder secretes bile, digests fats, to make cholesterol. Cholesterol makes what they call pregnenolone, the master hormone to all hormones, that feeds the adrenals to make estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, everything to make you and all the hundreds of other hormones that are in the body to function properly. Okay? So now that you know that there's these cracks that occur in the digestive tract from all sorts of pathogens, right? And they can get out to cavities, and the gallbladder being the primary cavity because it secretes 1/4 of a liter of bile to a liter of bile a day, right? And bile digests fats and emulsify fats to let enzymes break it up into cholesterol. And cholesterol breaks up and goes in and feeds the adrenals, or makes pregnenolone that feeds the adrenals to make estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and everything else. So without hormones operating, you have a cascade of malfunctions. Everything is run by hormones. You cannot function without hormones. So if your thyroid's off kilter because of the infection, you start to malfunction until it gets worse and worse, and the immune system can't do its job because it's not getting fed hormones to regulate itself. So, I'm trying to show you a bigger picture of our whole system at one time. So going back to the thyroid, it's trying to deal with air pollution, food pollution, the boss is angry, the husband's angry, the wife's angry, and all these stresses that occur in our society, so much so that we don't have the hormones to regulate the temperature because of our food supply and antibiotics that everybody's taken. And it only takes one antibiotic to kill 2/3 of your digestive tract off. So you have pinholes through your whole digestive tract, right? And bottom line is, without the hormones to regulate and handle stress and support the body to function properly and raise your temperature, the body makes choices. It says, I need to do all these other things because the immune system's malfunctioning, this not malfunctioning. I'm having a period, I'm under stress because of the job or my husband or my wife. And it just drains it to a point that the thyroid isn't getting the hormones that it needs to function properly. Okay? So the gallbladder is the hub of the body, but it gets infected because of, mostly in our day and age, antibiotics. And now it secretes 1/4 of a liter to a liter a day of bile to digest fats, right? But if it's malfunctioning, and it's all infected, every time you have fat in your body, it's secreting bile that's infected, reconstituting an infection or expanding on an infection that's already there. And, the doctors give you antibiotics to kill off the infection, but it just makes the matters worse. It makes more holes in the digestive tract, more waste material and pathogens are coming into the gallbladder. And every time you eat something that's fatty, you're releasing it back into your system and reconstituting the infection that's already there. And practitioners think, oh, the digestive tract's the key and the hub and everything. And to a certain extent, it is. But in this case, once the infection's big enough, it can't function properly. It can't do it, and it starts to back up and back up bile because it's clogged up with pathogens and things. To me, it's like when you do a liver gallbladder flush I've created, it's like more of a sponge. When I squeeze, I pull out of the toilet, I grab a round thing and it's green and I squeeze it. It's like a sponge. It's like a sponge. And it's like putting a sponge into your sink. How well does the water run through the sink? If it has a sponge there, it doesn't. It backs up. And where does it back up into? Well, it came from the liver. That's where bile is produced. It starts backing up into the liver, and then the liver starts to malfunction. And one of its primary things is to clean up or recycle the minerals. See, the gallbladder releases bile, but in the bile is waste material from the lymph system. It's waste material from crushing red blood cells in the spleen and other waste material in that area to be released, not only to digest fats, to make cholesterol that makes pregnenolone, that feeds the adrenals, make estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, everything. It recycles the minerals through the digestive tract. So, because we cannot eat enough minerals in our normal diet, typically, to function properly. So, if we're trying to recycle the minerals and the minerals in the blood bond to amino acids to help heal your body, to make chemicals, to make cells, to do everything. It needs the minerals to make those chemicals, right? But the problem is the minerals are an acid. They're amino acids. And the acids bond with minerals to make chemicals, digestive enzymes, neurotransmitters, tissue, all these different things. So you're getting all these things malfunctioning because there's not enough minerals to make them. So your body's degrading. And here's the most important part. Minerals or amino acids, amino acids need minerals to offset the acidity of the chemical they're making. So to neutralize it, to make a chemical that the body needs. If you go acidic, and you have to stay in a pH range of 7.38 to 7.42, right? 1 degree in either direction for a full hour, the likelihood you're dead. That's how tight the pH has to be in the body. So the body says, hey, I'm going acidic. I don't have enough minerals to offset the amino acids and everything to make the chemicals I need to make. So it reaches out and leaches calcium out of the bones to make calcium bicarbonate, which you've seen sodium bicarbonate, what it does when you pour it on battery cable, it sizzles because it's neutralizing the acid. That's what the calcium bicarbonate is doing in the blood to neutralize the acid so the body can function and not die in an hour. So you see, it's all mechanical. I'm a mechanic of the body. I'm not, a chemist. I don't have to be a chemist to understand the basics. This is a basic chemical reaction, right? I was a mechanic in rebuilding my VW bus, my motorcycles, all these kind of things. I have a manufacturing plant. I have, 16 people working for me. We're making products that I create, 71 products that I create. And then I make products for other people. A number of other major other, companies in the industry. And, a lot of, practitioners, and one of their main things that they do right out of the chute is give people iodine, because iodine, first is a great killer of bacteria and bad bacteria and things of that nature. But iodine is the only thing that can make the thyroid work properly. You don't have iodine, you're gone. Okay. And what kills iodine or makes it inert and thyroids go off track is radiation. Here's a good example. And this is why we're going to have tremendous amount of cancer, especially in the US, in the next 10 years. Is because Fukushima, the island where there was a chemical thing from a nuclear plant, and it sent out so much radiation that in California, the RADs, which is a measurement of radiation, were 20 to 30 what is it called? RADs, okay, per billion or million or whatever it was. Now, believe it or not, it was so severe, California shut down their meters for that. I don't think they've restarted them, but there's other people putting the numbers out there, and you probably could find it. But they're 450 to 650 rads instead of 20 to 30. And that's across our whole country, all the way to Florida. And they have a 300,000 year lifespan of this radiation. And eventually, those kind of amounts are going to damage the thyroid unless you do something to neutralize that. I highly recommend MSM TMG for that. Because it's, in my words, or in my thought pattern, I'm 71, I feel 18. I played 12, 15 games of racquetball or pickleball. I have no knees, back joint problems at all. And I took a ton of MSM, sold everywhere. I sell it too. If you want to support me, that's great. If you don't, just get it. That's that. The thyroid, I have to reduce both physical and mental stress and have something to support the thyroid to rebuild itself to get better. And I've had to do some protocols with high doses of MSM, by the way, to show you that MSM is totally not toxic. I've taken 180 grams IV, that's 6 ounces in my blood with no side effects. I wouldn't do it unless you orally detox first, right? But I've done it twice, IV, 6 ounces in my blood, no side effects whatsoever. I'm going to open up the things to anybody that wants to ask questions in any way, shape, or form. It's open field. And just say, take your mute off, and we'll talk to one person at a time, get what they want to ask, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That was very deep. A lot of information in the presentation you did, Keith. So when you have low conversion rate from T4 to T3 and
Correct.
low body temperature,
Mhm.
ever recommend taking like thyroid hormone, natural thyroid hormone to?
Well, you could do that.
Yeah.
And when I first got in the business, Dr. Day actually told me, in a brief conversation, he was a great guy. He was one of Steve Steenbach's doctors. And he mentioned that he just read this huge article on thyroid. And he told me about this. And that was early in my learning, way back when. And he commented that the way he fixed it was a time-released, time-activated T3, meaning that it was already activated, everything was working, but it was pure T3. And so they did a 7.5 milligrams raise every day they would raise it, or every 2 days or whatever. I can't remember. It's been way back when I used to do that. I had a doctor do it for me. And they raise it up to your temperature got up to 98.6. And they kept it that at 98.6 for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then it would start to convert and get rid of the right-handed, flush it out, right? And everything was copacetic. It basically would work for a while, but as soon as because they're already weakened and their system's weakened and hadn't had time to catch up, if they had another trauma, like a car accident, divorce, the whatever, that would drag down the thyroid again, and then it would come back. And so I wanted to figure out a way to do it more thoroughly. So it took me about 2 years to find a natural way to fix it.
Okay, so what
And
is
well, it's not easy to fix a thyroid. It's about 18 products to work on doing physical and mental stress. And that worked for a long time. And then what I had to do is do a deeper cleanse because of the radiation and everything from Fukushima, damaging the thyroid and causing more stress all over the body. Just so you know, I take, like, if I fly or if I go out in the sun for a couple hours, I take a tablespoon of MSM TMG, and I can go out for 2.5 hours and not burn. That's
Yeah.
how well it gets rid of radiation. So I've done this to almost everybody I know, and they all agree. It's just for at least 2 to 2.5 hours, no burn at all. Crazy
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
So
I take
anyway, so I had to do an MSM detox now, before I start the thyroid to get the overall body to be healthier in general, right? And then it's really easy, or a lot easier, to convert the thyroid over. Like 18 days, we fix it, typically. And because I'm just supporting the body to fix itself. And and then after that, it takes a lot more of stress or something else to pull it out of sequence. And then you can do another thyroid protocol, but it's a rare situation once they're stabilized.
So how much MSM, how much trimethylglycine?
Well, to start it, I personally, and this is my way of doing it, I just did it with my sister-in-law. She's 2 years older than me. I'm 71, she's 73, 74, 73. So 2 years older than me.
And I'm in the
And she
I'm
was
72.
okay. So you're in between. So, and she had fallen back in pickleball because she had the wrong shoes on. And what did she break, darling? Something in the lower back, right? So severe that they were on some heavy duty painkillers. And I got involved the second day because I shipped it overnight up to her. And I had her do the high doses of MSM. And I'll just tell you, it was a miracle. The pain dropped by 50% in one day.
Wow, that is amazing.
50%. I mean, you haven't seen me, you don't know me from squat, right? I don't even know how you got this. Are you a doctor?
Well, I do holistic health practice, but
Okay.
I actually saw you at one of Dietrich Klinghart's conferences, like in 2014, maybe up in New Jersey. You presented there.
Oh, did I talk about this?
Oh, I don't remember what you talked about.
Well, I have 71 products right now. And Dietrich is a very close friend of mine. And
I,
Dietrich, is one of the greatest people in the world,
yeah,
right? Good
I,
person and to his core, right? And he sends me clients on occasion when they need a little bit more love and care.
Uh-huh.
And so I do that for free. So you think, but look, you remember back then, I haven't lost a bit of strength for 30 years. I only weightlifted 3 times a year, every year, except for the last 2 years. But you can't see this. I don't know if you can see that. I'm as strong as an ox. Okay. I throw trainers and I only work out 3 times a year. I'm not joking. It's
Wow.
so is there anybody else have any questions on the thyroid?
Okay, how much MSM and how much trimethylglycine
Well,
if
we can send you a protocol. You can call my office
awesome. Okay.
and you call my office and then you say you want the MSM TMG protocol. And if you want to call me, I'll take calls. Right now, I can do that. I know because I'm going to start doing podcasts like this. It may become overwhelming at some point, but I'll talk to you for an hour about what needs to be done and everything. What's your symptoms? Do you have any symptoms?
Um, well, I do know I have low body temperature. I have an aura ring and you know,
What's
it's
the number?
I'd have to look on my phone. But in the morning, when I wake
Well, the
up,
morning's always going to be low, especially based on our society. Well, you want to check it is like right before lunch, 2:30 in the afternoon, and right
okay.
before dinner. So when you're at most operating systems, you want those systems to run properly. And if they're running then, they'll make up for things when they're not running better, which is usually early morning.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, early morning is like hmm, you gotta find it. Well, I'm not quite sure where it is, but usually it's low. Anyway, okay, I'll check
Okay.
it. Are you talking about the basal temperature or just
No,
in?
I do with a glass thermometer, which is more accurate because
Right.
digitals are looking for high temperature, not low temperature.
Okay.
Okay. And you can buy them on Amazon for 12,
I have,
$15.
yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah, we have the T energy or the Pro protocol. I'm just trying to reduce both physical and mental stress. So I have a
Mhm.
total recall to help with the mental stress. I have adrenal cortex, which knocks your stress down considerably in a very short time, a few minutes, right? It's actual, not a glandular. We actually extract it and subtract out um, the adrenaline. So it's just pure adrenal cortex,
Mhm.
right? And it's amazing how fast it works. Crazy good.
And I've done the saliva test for cortisol and with the awakening response. And my levels are just a little bit above kind of the average, the norm.
The
Just and
norm.
it's a good what do I want to say? A good curve. It's higher in the morning and it goes down, but it's all just a little bit above the norm. So I don't know how that uh would be, addressed.
Well, I'm just telling you, you spray it in your mouth,
Mhm.
you hold it for 5 or 8 minutes because, and with 15 or 20 minutes, you see a significant difference.
In what way?
Stress.
So it decreases stress.
Yes. This
Yeah.
is what the body does. Like, you take coffee, you get excited, right? When you
Mhm.
take adrenal cortex, you just become calm. It's a chemical,
All right.
and it's what your body produces naturally.
Mhm. And
So,
would that be something to affect? Oh, and I know I have low conversion from T4 to T3. I don't really have an issue with reverse T3, just low conversion. So,
Well, I think when you clean up your 70 trillion cells,
yeah,
um, that you'll be amazed what you could do that you couldn't do before. I mean, knees, back, tight shoulders, flexibility, because sulfur makes bonds between proteins that are like hinges, right? And they make
mhm,
hinges. And so all of a sudden, Carol, my 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 wife's sibling,
okay,
she's 2 years older than me, but she's more flexible now. She's a whole thing. The total discomfort in her back totally went away in 3 days. And she
yeah,
was on all these hard drugs to get rid of pain.
yeah, yeah.
So that's just one instance. It may not happen to everybody like that, but from my experience, it's the third most powerful product in the world for overall health.
Well,
Okay.
and I agree with you
Yeah.
that when you support the body, it's got the ability
To
to,
do anything.
yeah, exactly, to function optimally.
Yeah. It was really nice that you asked questions. And if you have any problems or you want some further education, feel free to call me.